Welcome back to the Too Fast Tactical channel. I've switched over to Action Cam to do this video installation in the Volkswagen EOS. We're going to start with removing the factory radio. On this particular car, this is a little easier than a GTI because we just have to remove this radio bezel right here. And it's best to use don't use a screwdriver. You should use a pry tool of some nature, plastic preferably. I've got a couple here, and we're gonna see how it works. The trim bezel is basically held in with some clips, and I'm gonna see if I can get it to pop out without prying on it too hard. Plastic is forgiving, so if it slips, you shouldn't be scratching anything, in theory. Now, I've never removed the radio like this in a Volkswagen. This is a new vehicle for me, so although it's not rocket science. I don't want to actually pull on this. I want to get the clips popped out. There might be some clips down here as well. Got some clips right down here, it would seem. Whatever you're doing, just be cautious. You don't want to just rip on these. Plastic can definitely crack or break. Try a different tool. This is just got more of a hook on the end of it. That's why you don't want to use a screwdriver, because when the thing slips off, the screwdriver is going to scratch some plastics up. Alright, I think we got it. So that's basically how that comes off. So now we'll move on and remove the radio. Okay, we're moving on to the second part of our installation. Let me apologize about the audio. This Action Cam does not have an external microphone, so I have to rely on the internal microphone, which is not the greatest. Anyway, what we're going to need for this next step, you're going to need a T20 Torx to take out 4 screws. Take these out. And that's all there is that we have to do to get the radio out at this point. Okay, next all we need to do is slide the radio out. Pull on it a little bit and support it with our other hand so we don't scratch up our climate control system. Although you can't probably see this, there's a plug down here for the radio antennas, which kind of I think there's. Well, let's take out the power first. The power plug's got a lever that you pull up on, and the radio, you can see the antenna plugs right there. I think we just wiggle them to get them out. I don't know, since I've never removed something like this before. Little plastic tabs on the back of this. There's two little, okay, got it. Figured that out. There's the back of the radio. The two antenna plugs have these little white clips on them, and you pull them up and they'll slide off. So that's all we have to do to remove the factory radio. Alright, the included adapter that the manufacturer provided only has a facility for one cable here, and I'm not sure why I really need to use it. Looks like I don't need to use it. This must be maybe for a Mark 6. I'm not sure. But anyway, this comes with the radio, and I don't believe it's going to be needed in my situation. Now, the question, I'll get rid of that adapter. The question is which one of these do I need to hook up? Again, not a lot of information included about that. My research has said that one of these is for AM and one is for FM. Other information says one is for like a roof antenna and one is for a rear window antenna. So what I'm just going to have to do is hook up one and see what the FM radio reception is like. If it's horrible, I'll switch to the other one, and whichever one is better, I'll use that. AM obviously is not going to work, and satellite radio is not going to work. It's possible maybe one of these is for satellite radio. I don't know. It's just really difficult to find reliable information on different forums. You could read through 50 posts and get 20 different answers, and they're not all right. So anyway, that's that. Now the manufacturer of, or not the manufacturer, but the seller of the RCD330 has instructed me to, this is their main adapter that comes with the radio. This is the CAN bus. Their instructions were to hook this up to the factory radio, or hook at this end up to the factory radio, and then this other end would connect to this CAN bus adapter, like so, and then this would connect to the vehicle wiring harness. So what I was going to do, I was going to try this harness minus the CAN bus adapter and see what happens, see if I have steering wheel control. So let's get started with that. Our wiring harness is right here, and that just plugs in like so. I won't be using those two, so those will just be hanging out. And let's get the factory radio. And you see the factory radio's only got a facility for plugging in one of these antennas. And we'll start with one of them. And then we'll plug this in. Slide this in here, like so. Just set it in place, and let's see what we have. All right.
Happy Blue Friday, everybody. Yes, we'll get into the Seahawks in just a little bit.
Keep the volume down so I don't get a strike on the YouTube channel for playing music I'm not authorized to play. That FM does work. It's a little staticky. I might try the other antenna. Let's see. Let's try our steering wheel controls. Just checking out the steering wheel controls here. I've got no steering wheel buttons on the left side. The right side buttons control the function display in the dash. So let's see. Our language. Looks like the manufacturer had done something with this radio or tested it, because I saw it was connected to a OnePlus T phone. So they probably flashed it and then did some testing, my guess would be. OnePlus T right there, so at some point in time somebody connected a phone to test the functionality. Anyway, so I don't have any steering wheel buttons. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to connect the CAN bus controller and see if we get steering wheel buttons. Okay, off camera, I pulled out the radio. I swapped the antenna lead to the other one, and I plugged in the CAN bus adapter, sort of like how I showed you earlier, just in line with the included adapter. So let's go ahead and turn this on and see what we got this time. the radio definitely works a lot better. So I think this is the antenna cable to use. And let's try our steering wheel volume buttons. And look at that. So on my 2008 Volkswagen EOS, we definitely needed the CAN bus adapter to get steering wheel controls to work, and that is working the way it should be. Yeah, we get the mute button, and the phone button works for Bluetooth. So all of the buttons on the steering wheel are working correctly, and that's good. So radio, media, this is not bolted down yet, of course, so I'm still going to move around a little bit. We'll just check our SD card, see if that works. And that appears to work as well, so the SD card is working. Okay, so everything appears to be working correctly. I'm going to pull this back out, and I'm going to better organize those the wiring in the back, because those two big connectors are taking up a lot of space. That's why this radio isn't really sitting down, because all those wires are kind of jumbled back there, and I need to kind of tuck them down. So I'm going to do that off camera, and we're going to come back and finish up the installation of this. Okay, let's go ahead and get our T20 Torx back out, get our screws, and there's plenty of room behind the radio for both of those wiring harnesses. You can tuck the wiring down underneath this climate control system. There's a little ledge, and you can tuck them down in there so the radio will slide back and the wires are not pinched up. And definitely confirm your plug connections. They need to be seated very well. First time I plugged it in, I didn't get it plugged in all the way. It was maybe plugged in. It went in another couple of millimeters, I think, and it wasn't powering up. So I did not have it plugged in all the way. You should get a nice little solid snap. Get the film off. Easier said than done, I guess. There's no little pull tab or anything to get this film. And it's just kind of pulling apart. Okay, so rather than you sit here for 5 minutes and watch me try to peel this off, I'm going to peel it off and we'll come back. Okay, I got some testing done on this. I'm going to move on to the next stage of pairing the phone. And if you go into the phone section, you go into Bluetooth, it'll say no device is paired. And what you basically need to do is go into your phone. This is an iPhone 6s, so this is an older iPhone, but this should be applicable for most phones. If your Bluetooth is turned on, you'll see VW Radio pop up. We're going to just click on VW Radio, and it'll say what your phone name is, and it'll say, do you want to connect? I'm going to say yes, and it's going to say a password thing, and I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to pair on the phone, and then it's going to prompt you on the phone, do you want to sync contacts and favorites? You can select allow or don't allow or what have you. And that's basically it for syncing of the Bluetooth. Back in the Bluetooth menu here, hopefully you can read that okay. We're inside the car. I'm using a portable light source to get some light, so we've got some decent video. You can allow Bluetooth audio, the A2DP, which allows you to stream audio from your phone. And we'll just go ahead and, since we have that turned on, I've got radio.net on my phone. I don't know if this will stream. But let's give it a shot. I'm just opening up this application. I don't know if this will stream to the radio or not, because this is all new. Oh, that's the SD card. Well, I don't know if that program is going to actually stream unless I connect via CarPlay. But let's see what else we could do here. Well, anyway, I'll deal with the A2DP, the streaming. But with the phone connected, you can see we've got Bluetooth, we've got our battery condition, and we've got cell phone strength up there. And so Bluetooth audio. I'm not familiar with all of these different features, so I'm definitely not the best person to provide a step-by-step tutorial on how to use everything. But what we can do, I can at least test the CarPlay and see if that wants to function correctly. Again, we're gonna use the front paneled USB input. Apple CarPlay. CarPlay not available. To use CarPlay, enable Siri in the Settings app. I have Siri turned off, so that's why we're getting that error message. Alright, let me deal with that and we'll come back shortly. Okay, I had to set up Siri, so I apologize. I don't really use it, so let's try that again. Alright, so it looks like we've got our Apple CarPlay going, and let's see what we got here. I have Waze on here. And I don't have location services turned on. Of course not. Everything's turned off. Alright, there we go. So we can see we have Waze going, so that's functioning, and kick over to music, and let's see what we have here. Obviously I don't want to get a copyright strike for playing music I don't have the right to play on YouTube, but you can see we're playing music from inside the iPhone. So that was Waze, music, Google Maps, calendar, and Volkswagen. Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Go back to CarPlay, and then of course we can do phone, and everything appears to be working the way it's supposed to be for CarPlay. So that's a quick overview of the CarPlay. I don't have an Android device, I can't demonstrate that, but let's go back to our media, and we have our SD card inserted here, and obviously we're playing media off the SD card. And let's see, what else can we talk about here? We've underneath the setup, sound, you've got maximum startup value, audio lowering, Bluetooth audio, minimums. I'm not sure what some of these are at this point. Your fader control is this device where you can basically move the sound around in the cabin. I've got it right kind of just behind the driver's seat, so there's a little bit more ambience in the rear of the car, but you can play around with that. The Bluetooth setting, that's for doing the radio, and then if you don't want to stream a Bluetooth audio from your phone, you can uncheck that. The remove safely, that's to unmount your card or unmount your USB, which I didn't do when I unplugged the USB, but you know, media settings and app, and then the main setup. You can specify your keyboard, a QWERTY or ABC keyboard. QWERTY is like what you'd have on your desktop. Keyboard languages, Bluetooth, we just looked at that. Factory settings, system information. So if we go into the system information here, you can see this is where we would update our software if we had updated software. Our hardware is 541, our software is 5814, the Bluetooth is C210. My understanding is that C210 is the current Bluetooth firmware that allows use of Siri, Apple CarPlay 210.81, and Android Auto 1.3.0. Apple license. And well, that's screen off, touchscreen tones, display time and standby, brightness. You can adjust the brightness. You can dim the screen after a certain amount of time. Well, that's kind of an overview right there of this. Let me grab the bezel, and I'll put the bezel back on, and we'll be back to finish up this install. Alright, now that we've got the radio tested, the wires are all organized in the back, our T20 Torx screws are all tightened down. It's just a matter of popping our radio back in, our radio trim. back in. And we'll have to figure out exactly the best way to do that. Should just pop in. Of course, our center section there is not wanting to pop in. Well, this section's not popping in. I'm going to mess around with that off camera. This one, I'm obviously not doing it correctly, so I'm going to take that off and mess around with it, figure out why that's not popping in correctly. It's my inexperience with taking these apart that's definitely problematic. But that's more or less going to conclude the installation of the RCD330. Check the links in the description. I'll put a link to the RCD330 website where you can find a lot of information about these radios, and I'll put a link to my tabletop review of this unit, and I'll put a link to AliExpress where I bought this radio. I got it for $150 plus $35 for shipping plus $20 for the CAN bus adapter. Currently, I believe this exact unit is on sale from the same company, Lemon Shark, that's the name of the company, for $170 with free shipping. So if you add the CAN bus adapter, you're at $190, so you're under $200 bucks. Anyway, so thanks for watching the video, and good luck with your RCD330.